Alright, you must disassociate from your pain. Uh, I remember earlier I was looking into Eckhart Tolle regarding dissociation, like identity disorder, formerly known as multiple personality disorder. And I couldn't help but think that some of the traits within it are very advantageous and for a person that's trying to pursue something in their lives. Like the ability to take a take a sidestep from your own perspective and withstand a lot more of a pain threshold than most people can, right? What I mean by this is like sometimes like when I don't want to do homework, for example, I would try to visualize as my eyes are open, I try to visualize how a third person perspective would look like if I were in a video game like GTA, and I would try to see myself in that through that third eye view, do the homework, and I would in a way relate with that disassociation. Like, wow, this is a created character that I'm using. It doesn't matter how low, how hungry this person is, how sleepy. If I just continue doing the fucking homework, I'm gonna get the mission complete. Right? Like this game, for example, we're in the perspective where we're watching these two fight, but for these two characters, right? Like they're probably wincing, thinking like, "Ah, oh, I shouldn't be doing this," fight or flight instinct, stuff like that. Like you have to be able to disassociate from your own world, and that's what people do actually. That's what sleeper agents are. They go through so much trauma regarding like MK Ultra and like hacking the mind, where they break and snap and fracture almost, and the memories actually differ between one and the other, like parts of the personalities. One side would wake up and the other side would go to sleep. So you like there are virtues in this that I think sane people, people that are not succumbed fully by this disorder, I think there's some virtue that we can use. Right? Like for example, learning new things. Right? A lot of people, they as children tried to learn how to walk, and you don't see the child just straight up give up. He doesn't even have the mental capacity to understand what give up means because it's all instinctual. Those uh those chickens or those birds in the nest that push out their siblings so that they have a larger portion of the food. They don't do this because they're choosing to. They choose this. They do this because it's all instinct. The shark in the womb eats the other shark. It's not murder at all. It's not murder at all. It's it's not like there's any intent to this, right? So the baby learns how to walk without intent, and you, as an adult, as somebody that's in a way higher sentient playing field, should still carry some of these traits if things get really tough. Like at the gym, for example, can you get into like a flow state where you don't really feel the pain anymore? You get into the zone where everything starts clicking and people are in disarray, like, oh, this guy must be batshit crazy to continue to pursue this. this objective, while everything looks rough, can you disassociate from the crowd, from your own worries? Could you disassociate and continue to try to learn how to walk as like an adult? Could you do that? Let's say you have taxes. Everyone's gonna be like, no, you should just learn do taxes through tax turbo and pay a fucking subscription and give them a huge cut of it, of your hard earned tax return money. Could you, like I said in another video, do you have the ambition to look crazy? And like in terms of work ethic, like David Goggins, that's what I'm saying. David Goggins, I honestly believe he disassociates. Almost like, for example, a narcissist has virtues. There's virtues in being a narcissist, right? I know like Ayn Rand, when it comes to like hyper individualism, it speaks about this. It's like you only like you should do anything in your power to make your life better, even if it's at the cost of others. This job that you want to get, you're ultimately taking it from somebody else, but it's it's worth it to you, right? If you continue to share the food, you're never gonna get any. So there are virtues in narcissism, like Ayn Rand, and I think there are virtues in dissociative personality disorder. But let's get into the weeds a little bit, right? What do I mean by virtues? I think when we learn new things, we hit a lot of mental barriers that we have to hurdle, especially when you try to get the ball rolling. Like when you're when you're at a standstill on a bike, it takes a lot more effort to push forward and get the wheels turning than if you're in the middle with momentum and you just add on a little bit and a little bit, right? So that little hurdle, uh, one thing to note, right, is like the things that are easy. It's all perspective based, okay? Things that are easy because they're familiar to you. And you're like, no shit, and I get it, but I try to let this sink in. Things that are hard are just new. So if you familiarize yourself in that area, be it figure skating or something. If I go and put on figure skates right now, I'm gonna fall and probably break my front teeth. It would be wrong to call it hard though, because I can see YouTube videos of little kids figure skating. Those are fucking little kids, right? I'm smarter than that kid, actually. So why is it hard for me and easy? Because it's familiar. That kid actually like every waking hour he went there, he grinded. And what I mean by grind is he familiarized himself in there. He made sure he made enough mistakes in that craft. Looked at every little technique and tips and tricks, and then he started getting the hang of it. Then he started being able to speed up on the ice, and then he can rotate and spin on the ice like that, right? I see little kids. You throw them a three-digit number, and you tell them to multiply or divide it, and they got it. I'm like, how in the hell can they? It's not. They're not smart, okay? Like, um, that isn't intelligence, okay? That's what I mean to say. That's because they're familiar. That's familiarity. Um, like they're familiar with a certain pattern regarding how to multiply these numbers, and they just repeat the pattern that they already know. It's like a system at play. It's like a larger formula. It's a more like abstract formula that they're dealing with in their head, and then boom, they spit it out. But it's really just regurgitation. True intelligence is looking into the unknown and finding patterns there. You know, that's what true intelligence is. I think regarding like IQ, true pattern recognition, seeing new patterns, not just repeating already known patterns. So if I want to if I want to learn how to code, learn a new language or anything, I lived. I'll just say one thing personally. I lived in a separate country, abroad, right? And nobody knew how to speak English, and I didn't know the language. But I went to a language school to go and practice that language. And what came out of that, because I was immersed in that environment, my brain was forced to change. And that's that resistance. That's that mental barrier. Your brain doesn't like change because it's not stable. If you got a system that works and you break that system, people will get mad. Like, if the coffee in the morning isn't the right flavor and your whole morning ritual is messed up, bro, you're gonna probably snap at me. And I'm like, bro, it's just coffee. It's like, no, it's bigger than that. It's my routine, right? You don't want change in any sort of way, but change is what puts you ultimately ahead of the competition. You have to understand that pain is an indicator of change. That's another huge uh, connection, right? If you don't, if you want to settle down, eat Doritos, watch your Marvel movies, like you've always done since you were a kid, you haven't changed. You're actually, I would call you childish, right? And another trope is people say, well, now's not the time. I'm just not ready yet. And I'm sure you already know the answer, but you'll never be ready for anything. I wasn't ready. Like, I remember when I was graduating high school, that was going through my head. What now? I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Like, I did the years, I got the grades and everything, but it's just that unknown that, like, my world view is gonna change. It's like bittersweet. Why is it bittersweet at a graduation? Why? Same thing in college. It felt bittersweet. It's because the structure, that routine, you were used to, and that's another thing. I was institutionalized, just like a prisoner. Not in a negative connotation sense, but just as a comparison, the prisoner feels depressed when he leaves after a certain number of years. If you've been in jail, incarcerated for 20 plus years, and you come out, you'll be like, that's all I know. And you're gonna bring the prison with you outside. The trauma, the everything, right? So yeah, I was institutionalized K through 12 and in higher education, but my brain felt that that was normal and that's ideal and we should continue, and that's why I felt uh that's why I felt like disarray when graduation did happen, because I didn't like it. So you have to bear with it. You have to understand that, yeah, you never did a push up before, but if you just continued, if you install a push up bar in your closet door and you do 5 a day, the first couple of days are gonna be like, what the fuck, all right? But then you keep at it, and then it's normal, and actually stopping that routine feels off, and you feel like something's missing. So it's all like association equals pattern. Okay, we love patterns. We love systems. We love the same. But when you break that cycle, when you break that pattern, association, routine, it pisses us off. But just understand that new routines, new patterns, opportunities to improve. Never take that for granted, okay? If you can put yourself in an uncomfortable position, and logically you would be on a better, you'd have the best foot forward in doing so, your whole being is going to reject it. right? And again, that's where I feel like disassociating from the self, going into that third person perspective, because I don't know, that's the best way I can visualize it, but just disassociating makes it a whole lot better. And I think that's what happens like Buddhism too. They go and meditate and they are one with the earth. And they realize that their problems are so self-centered and localized. In the greater scheme of things, the world's actually a perfect place and everything is interconnected, and you know you're at peace. That's the enlightenment. That's the what's the word, bro? Is that the word for enlightenment? I forgot the name, but yeah. So even Buddhists disassociate. So you have to apply that if you want to succeed. You have to say, hey, you know, I'm in traffic, but just step out mentally. Like try to almost like semi out of body experience, but just through your imagination. Look around, maybe enter a new world through like a story or something you're listening to, and you realize, you know, you're already done with your destination. You just snap out of it. Because I notice when I drive, right? Like I zone out, but I'm driving perfectly. Like I'm completely driving perfectly, but my mind's elsewhere. I'm looking both ways. I'm driving like that. I don't know how that works. Like I'm not in danger when I do it, and I'm sure you can agree too. You're not in danger when you zone out when you drive, but it makes the journey so much more bearable. So can we learn how to just zone out when we probably wash the dishes? Can you learn how to zone out when you uh hang your clothes, hang your shirts, fold your clothes? Can you learn how to disassociate when you do repetitive tasks? Maybe you work at a call center, maybe you work as a receptionist where you have to just input output repetitive. You can just zone out, and you see what I'm saying? Like there's so much application to when you understand this. And you would call it a flow state, but I feel like the flow state is a separate category. It's like it's in that it rhymes with flow state, but it's not necessarily the same thing, because when you're in a flow state, you're you're doing the craft with such attention to detail that it feels like you're not losing any stamina. It's like you're like if you're watching looking at this game, I'm sure there's burst mode or something like where or like Tekken where you're like heat or you know you turn Super Saiyan when you're doing tax hits or coding or whatever when you're an accountant. So yeah. Oh yeah, another one is a sales guy. You get into the flow of it. That's different from just disassociating from menial repetitive tasks. But if we can disassociate when learning new tasks, right? Oh my God, you're a beast. You're an absolute beast. Like Neo, when he started saying, you know, I want to learn everything, he started planting everything in his head. Boom, 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 boom. Can you just? I know you can't do it that fast. And what Neo did in a few days, I think that's how long it was in the movie. That training arc period, or I think a few hours. You can probably do in 3 months, like a short term goal. Yeah, you can go and learn that new language. You can go ahead, try it, right? The pain, the pain is based on perspective, and the pain means it's working because you're changing. If you ever do drugs, you realize that you don't feel as much pain. So yeah, there you go. Disassociate, and the whole world's yours, really.